My young learner, when people speak of billionaires, they often imagine a life painted in gold, a schedule wrapped in luxury, and hours that drift by without urgency. Such fantasies are the illusions of those who stand outside the gates of wealth. For anyone who has truly observed the life of a billionaire investor knows that the cornerstone of their success is not extravagance but ritual. Yes, ritual, precise, disciplined, unyielding routines that carve order from chaos and give structure to an existence surrounded by volatility. Their days are not shaped by the whims of opportunity. Their days are the architects of opportunity. And if you wish to understand the power that moves markets, you must first understand the rhythms that govern the minds of these titans. The routine of a billionaire investor begins long before sunrise, often while the rest of the world sleeps in the comfort of dreams. They awaken early not because it is fashionable, but because dawn grants them something priceless: unchallenged sovereignty over their thoughts. In these quiet hours, before calls begin, before advisors arrive, before the world's demands tighten like vines around their attention, they enter the realm of deep reflection. Some meditate, training the mind to focus like a blade honed over decades. Some read reports, philosophy, biographies of fallen empires and risen ones because they know that markets reflect human nature more than numbers. Some write in journals, not to record events, but to shape decisions. These morning rituals are not habits. They are foundations. They build clarity. And clarity is the currency from which all wealth flows. After this sacred hour of solitude, billionaire investors turn to information intake, a ritual far more structured than the casual news consumption of ordinary individuals. Their mornings are not spent scrolling headlines. They receive curated intelligence, economic briefings, geopolitical updates, sector-specific analyses distilled by teams whose job is to remove noise and reveal signal. The wealthy understand that attention is the most precious resource of all. While others drown in a flood of information, billionaires drink only from streams filtered through expertise. They are not more intelligent than everyone else. They are simply less distracted. Then comes the period I call the alignment, where they meet with their inner circle, a small, fiercely trusted group of advisors, analysts, and decision architects. These meetings are concise, clinical, and anchored in data. They review portfolio performance, evaluate emerging risks, examine new opportunities, and refine long-term strategies. But beneath the analytical surface lies a deeper wisdom. Billionaires do not seek advice to be told what to do. They seek advice to expand the boundaries of what they can see. They understand that no empire has ever been built alone, and no fortune survives without the vigilance of many eyes. The young ignore counsel out of pride. The wealthy embrace counsel out of humility toward complexity. As the morning unfolds into midday, the billionaire's life shifts from reflection to execution. This is when they enter the realm of decision-making, but not in the frantic, impulsive manner that plagues novices. No. Billionaires are master conservators of cognitive energy. They make few decisions, but each one is monumental. They know that decision fatigue weakens judgment, and weakened judgment destroys wealth. Therefore, they automate the trivial. They simplify the unimportant. They delegate the operational. They free their mind to focus only on choices that bend the arc of their financial destiny. And it is here, within this economy of decisions, that their routine becomes a fortress, protecting them from the chaos that consumes ordinary investors. Yet even as they navigate financial decisions, billionaire investors carve out time for another ritual: learning. They consume knowledge not as a hobby, but as a requirement for survival. They study market cycles, technological innovation, demographic shifts, regulatory landscapes, historical patterns of wealth creation, and the psychology of human behavior. They know that markets punish those who cling to yesterday's wisdom. Learning is not optional. It is the oxygen of their craft. While others fear change, the billionaire studies change until it bows before their understanding. But let me tell you a secret. The routines of the ultra-wealthy are not fueled by endless work, but by managed energy. Billionaire investors protect their mental stamina with almost warrior-like discipline. Many practice exercise as a sacred duty, not for vanity, but for longevity and cognitive sharpness. They understand that a tired mind makes expensive mistakes. Some walk long distances in nature, others lift weights, others swim or practice martial arts. Their bodies are instruments that support the weight of enormous decisions. And then there is the midday pause, a quiet intermission where they step back, not out of laziness, but out of wisdom. The pause is strategic. It breaks the mental accumulation of the morning and allows insights to crystallize. In this pause, some enjoy a simple meal. Others sit in silence. Others use the time to step away from markets so they can return with fresh eyes. The young often sprint through their days, believing intensity alone breeds success. The wise understand that the mind must breathe. Afternoons, for billionaire investors, are devoted to creation rather than reaction. They focus on building companies, partnerships, systems, innovations. They evaluate long-term investments, not quick trades. They design strategies that may take years to mature. They understand that wealth is not the reward of speed, but of structure. A billionaire's afternoon may be filled with negotiations. But these negotiations are rarely about money alone. They are about leverage, alignment, psychology, and timing. They speak little, listen deeply, and strike only when the advantage is undeniable. Many have mastered the art of patience so completely that their silence becomes a strategy in itself. Yet alongside all these calculated movements lies a surprising truth. Billionaires schedule thinking time. Hours spent walking, pondering, sketching ideas, questioning assumptions. They know that breakthroughs arise not from constant activity, but from deliberate contemplation. The mind, like fertile soil, yields its best harvest when given space to breathe. As the day begins to settle, billionaire investors return once more to reflection. They review the decisions made, analyze their emotional state, and refine their understanding of ongoing strategies. They operate with a level of self-awareness that borders on ruthless. If they notice fear influencing a choice, they confront it. If they detect complacency, they dismantle it. If they sense opportunity, they prepare for it. Their evening gains wisdom from the day's actions. And this cycle of introspective refinement is one of the greatest secrets of enduring wealth. Nighttime brings restoration, not indulgence. Many billionaires sleep early, valuing rest as a strategic advantage rather than a luxury. They know that sustainable wealth requires a sustainable mind. Others spend evenings with family, grounding themselves in relationships that transcend economics. For what use is wealth if not tied to meaning? They protect their emotional wealth with the same precision they use to protect their financial wealth, for one cannot flourish without the other. And through this entire daily rhythm runs a deeper current, the billionaire's unwavering commitment to intentional living. Every hour is shaped, not spent. Every action has purpose. Every habit is a stone in the foundation of their empire. They understand that time, not money, is the true measure of wealth, and they guard their time more fiercely than most guard their fortunes. Now you see, my young friend, that the daily routines of billionaire investors are not mysterious. They are simply the disciplined execution of ancient principles. Clarity of mind, mastery of information, strategic counsel, controlled decision-making, continual learning, preservation of energy, deliberate creation, and nightly reflection. And as we continue, I will show you how even an ordinary individual can begin adopting these structures, slowly shaping a routine that builds wealth not through luck, but through the quiet, powerful compounding of disciplined habits that, when repeated over months and years, transform an ordinary life into one capable of shaping opportunity rather than waiting helplessly for it. And it is in this transformation that we begin to see the true distinction between those who merely admire billionaire investors and those who quietly begin walking the same path. For the routines that appear almost mythical from afar are, in truth, practical tools that any determined individual can adopt if they possess courage, patience, and the humility to begin with small steps. What you must understand, my young student, is that the routines of these titans are not born from wealth. They are the womb from which wealth emerges. Before the billions existed, the habits existed. Before the empire rose, the discipline rose. And so, as we journey into the closing arc of this lesson, let us examine how these routines can translate into the life of a person still building their foundation. First, embrace the billionaire's dawn. You may not command hundreds of millions, but you can command your mornings. Rise before the world begins its noise. Give yourself that sacred hour of clarity. Read the materials that expand your understanding of markets, human behavior, and long-term thinking. Journal your ideas not to record the past, but to design the future. Meditate if your mind is restless. Walk if your thoughts need air. In the early hours, you learn to own your day before the world attempts to claim it. Second, reshape how you consume information. Billionaires do not drown in data. They select it like a master jeweler, choosing gemstones. You, too, must learn to silence the noise. Instead of random news, choose curated insights. Instead of frantic scrolling, set a specific window for reading market updates. Instead of reacting to headlines, study trends. When your attention becomes focused, your decisions become sharper, and this sharpness compounds. Third, assemble your own counsel, even if small. Advisors are not reserved for the wealthy. They are a necessity for anyone who seeks growth. Surround yourself with people whose perspectives challenge your assumptions rather than flatter your ego. Join communities of disciplined investors. Listen more than you speak. Remember, wealth grows where wisdom circulates. Fourth, simplify your decisions. Create routines that reduce daily friction. Automate savings, schedule investment reviews, standardize your weekly planning. Billionaires minimize trivial choices so their minds remain free for strategic thinking. You must do the same. Your energy is finite. Spend it on what shapes your future, rather than the clutter of minor tasks. Fifth, protect your energy as fiercely as you protect your money. When your mind is sharp, your decisions become profitable. When your body is weak, your judgment becomes expensive. Exercise not as a luxury but as a necessity. Sleep not as an afterthought but as strategy. Avoid emotional decision-making by keeping yourself grounded. Sixth, create in the afternoons rather than react. Even if your empire is small, give yourself time to build a business idea, an investment thesis, a skill that will compound in value. Billionaires do not spend their afternoons putting out fires, they spend them lighting new torches. If all your hours are consumed by solving problems, you are surviving. When you create, you begin to build momentum. Seventh, master the art of thinking time. Set aside minutes or hours if possible to simply explore ideas. Walk without headphones. Sit without distraction. Ponder without rushing toward answers. Billionaires know that the mind reveals its best insights when space is given. Genius is often nothing more than uninterrupted contemplation. Finally, end the day with review. Look back at your decisions. Identify your emotional triggers. Study the consequences of your actions. Correction is the mother of compounding. What you refine daily becomes your destiny yearly. And now, my young investor, as we arrive at the closing wisdom of this journey, understand this eternal truth. Routines are the scaffolding upon which fortunes are built. Wealth is not lightning that strikes the lucky. It is a fire tended daily by those who understand its nature. Discipline is the tinder. Habits are the wood. Insight is the spark. And over time, that fire grows until its light stretches across generations. Do not envy the billionaire's life. Study the architecture of their days, for if you build your hours with intention, your days will shape your years, and your years will carve out a legacy that even the storms of time cannot erode. You have within you the same 24 hours that every billionaire possesses. The difference lies not in the hours themselves, but in the wisdom with which they are wielded. So let this be your invitation not to dream, but to act. Begin with a single disciplined habit. Strengthen it. Then add another, and another, until one day you wake and realize you have built a life of intentional power, a life that attracts opportunity, compounds wisdom, and radiates the calm certainty of someone who no longer chases success, but becomes its natural home. My young friend, if this lesson stirred clarity within you, share in the comments the habit you will adopt first. And if these teachings resonate with the investor you are becoming, subscribe to this channel so you may continue your journey under the guidance of timeless financial wisdom. Together we walk the path from discipline to destiny.